Gentlemen, something unprecedented is happening in the Western world. If you look at the statistics, you see the curve. It is not a gentle slope. It is a cliff. Marriage rates are at a 150-year low. Birth rates have collapsed below replacement levels, and the number of young and middle-aged men who have voluntarily removed themselves from the dating market is skyrocketing. The media calls this a crisis. They write panic pieces with headlines like, "Where have all the good men gone?" or "Why are men failing to launch?" They blame video games. They blame pornography. They blame Peter Pan syndrome. They blame toxic masculinity. But they are missing the point. In fact, they are deliberately ignoring the point. This is not a crisis of failure. This is a crisis of logic. Men are not failing to marry. They are choosing not to marry. Men are not failing to date. They are boycotting the dating market. What we are witnessing is a silent general strike. It is an Atlas Shrugged moment for the romantic economy. The men who for thousands of years have been the builders, the providers, and the protectors have looked at the modern contract offered to them by society, by the legal system, and by modern women. And they have done the math. They have analyzed the risk versus the reward. They have analyzed the cost versus the benefit. And they have come to the only logical conclusion a rational actor can reach. The juice is no longer worth the squeeze. Today we are going to dissect this phenomenon. We are not going to whine, we are going to analyze. We will look at the 7 structural reasons why the smartest, most capable men are choosing the solitary path. We will look at the destruction of the grand bargain, the weaponization of the legal system, and the skyrocketing inflation of relationship costs. If you are a man standing on the sidelines wondering if you are crazy for not wanting to play the game, this video is your validation. You are not crazy. You are just the first one to see the rigged table. To understand why men are leaving, we must understand what they are leaving behind. For most of human history, marriage was a transaction. It was a grand bargain. The deal was simple. The man provided protection and provision. He worked the hard jobs. He went to war. He built the house. In exchange, the woman provided nurturing, loyalty, sex, and domestic order. He was the head. She was the heart. It was a symbiotic relationship. Both sides had clear roles. Both sides needed each other to survive. Today, that contract has been shredded, first by the economy. Women entered the workforce, which is their right, but this removed the man's unique value as the sole provider. Second, by culture. The role of the head of household is now viewed as oppressive. Authority has been stripped from the man, but the responsibility remains. The modern man is still expected to pay for the first date. He is still expected to protect the family from intruders. He is still expected to die on the Titanic, while the women and children get on the lifeboats. But he has zero authority in his own home. He cannot tell his wife what to do. He cannot discipline his children without fear of state intervention. He cannot demand respect. So the modern deal looks like this. You, the man, will bear all the traditional responsibilities of 1950. Pay, protect, die for us. But you will receive none of the traditional benefits. Respect, authority, loyalty, peace. Who signs a contract like that? Imagine a business deal where one partner says, "You put up 100% of the capital, take a 100% of the risk, but I get 50% of the profit. I make all the decisions and I can fire you at any time and keep half your investment." No venture capitalist on earth would sign that deal. Yet that is the modern marriage contract. Men are waking up. They realize the grand bargain is dead, and they refuse to sign a unilateral contract where they are the servant and she is the queen. They are simply walking out of the negotiation room. Let's talk about the gun pointed at your head. The biggest reason men stay single is the family court system. In the West, we have no-fault divorce. This means a woman can divorce you for any reason or no reason at all. She can wake up one day and say, "I'm unhappy, I'm bored, I want to find myself," and the state will reward her for breaking the contract. The statistics are terrifying. Women initiate 70 to 80% of divorces. In the event of divorce, the man often loses half his net worth, assets he likely worked harder to accumulate. He often loses the house. He moves into a studio apartment. She stays in the home he paid for. He often loses custody of his children, becoming a weekend dad who pays for the privilege of seeing his own kids. He may be forced to pay alimony, literally paying a salary to an ex-employee who quit the job. Marriage, legally speaking, is a bet. You are betting half your stuff that she won't change her mind, and the odds are 50/50ths. Would you jump out of a plane if the parachute had a 50% failure rate? Would you invest your life savings in a stock that had a 50% chance of going to zero? Of course not. The smart money is staying on the sidelines. Men look at their divorced friends, broken, broke, depressed, alienated from their children, and they see a preview of their own potential future. They realize that the only way to win the game of divorce is not to play. The legal system has turned marriage from a sacrament into a liability. Until the laws change, the rational male response is to avoid legal entanglement at all costs. This creates the forever bachelor. Not because he hates women, but because he loves his freedom and his assets too much to gamble them. Now, let's look at the dating market itself. Let's talk about return on investment, ROI. In the past, courtship was relatively straightforward. You met a girl in your community. You had similar values. You courted. You married. Today, dating is a winner-take-all. Market driven by apps and hyper-inflated expectations. The average modern woman has been conditioned by social media to believe she is a 10. She is bombarded with attention from simps in her DMs. She has thousands of followers. Her standards have skyrocketed. She wants a man who is 6 feet tall, makes six figures, has six-pack abs, is emotionally available, is a bad boy but also a nice guy, loves to travel and pays for everything. And what does she bring to the table? Often debt, trauma, a high body count, past sexual partners, entitlement, and demanding personality. The modern man looks at the effort required to get a date. He has to look perfect. He has to plan the perfect date. He has to spend $200 on dinner. He has to perform like a circus monkey to keep her entertained. And in exchange, he gets a woman who spends the date on her phone, a woman who offers no peace, a woman who challenges him at every turn. He asks the fundamental economic question: is the juice worth the squeeze? Is the sex worth the headache? Is the companionship worth the cost? For millions of men, the answer is a resounding no. They realize that the effort required to attract and keep a modern woman yields a negative return. They can get sex, if they really want it, much cheaper and easier elsewhere. They can get companionship from their male friends. They can get peace from their solitude. The product, the modern relationship, has become too expensive, and the quality has dropped too low. When the price of a product goes up and the quality goes down, consumers stop buying. That is basic economics. Reason number 4 is psychological. It is the discovery of peace. We live in a high-stress world. Men are fighting battles at work, in traffic, in the economy. When a man comes home, his biological imperative is to decompress. He needs the sanctuary. He needs silence. He needs low cortisol. But the modern relationship is often the primary source of stress in a man's life. It is the second shift. He comes home to a list of demands. He comes home to we need to talk. He comes home to emotional volatility. He feels like he is walking on eggshells in his own house. Men are discovering that when they remove the relationship from the equation, their stress levels plummet. They come home to a quiet apartment. They eat what they want. They watch what they want. They sleep when they want. There is no one judging them. There is no one nagging them. This creates a peace dividend. Once a man tastes this peace, this absolute sovereignty over his environment, it becomes addictive. He compares his peaceful Saturday morning coffee video games gym to his married friend's Saturday morning bed bath beyond argument about in-laws screaming kids, and he chooses the coffee. The bachelor pad is no longer a sad waiting room. It is a fortress of solitude. Men are prioritizing their mental health over their reproductive drive. They are realizing that peace is the ultimate luxury, and often women are the enemy of that peace. We must address the cultural climate. For the last 20 years, the cultural narrative has been explicitly anti-male. From the education system to Hollywood, masculinity is painted as toxic. Boys are treated like defective girls in school. Men are portrayed as bumbling idiots in sitcoms or predators in dramas. The future is female. Smash the patriarchy. Men are trash. Society tells men, we don't need you. We don't want your protection. We don't want your opinions. Just pay your taxes and shut up. Okay. Message received. If society doesn't respect men, why should men sacrifice for society? Marriage and family are the bedrock of civilization. Building a family is an act of service to the future. But if the culture hates you, why build a future for it? Men are going a reference to Ayn Rand. They are shrugging off the burden of the world. They are saying, fine, you are strong and independent. You don't need a man. Great. Handle it yourself. They are retreating from the role of the protector. Why protect a woman who calls your masculinity toxic? Why provide for a society that calls your ambition oppressive? This is a cultural boycott. Men are finding meaning in their own hobbies, their own brotherhoods, and their own missions. Completely separate from the female-centric society. They are not playing the villain. They are just refusing to play the hero for a crowd that boos them. We cannot ignore the role of technology. In 1950, if a man wanted sexual release, visual beauty, or entertainment, he had to interact with a woman. He had to get married. The gatekeepers of sex were women. Today, technology has smashed the gate. A man has access to high-speed pornography, infinite sexual novelty, video games, adventure, conquest, achievement simulation, AI companions, emotional validation without judgment, OnlyFans, parasocial intimacy. Critics will say, this is sad, this is fake, it's not real. True, it is not real, but it is low cost, low risk, and high dopamine. The male brain is a problem-solving machine. It seeks the path of least resistance to the reward. If the real thing costs 100,000, risks your freedom, involves constant fighting, and requires immense effort, and the virtual substitute costs zero, poses zero risk, and is available on demand, the brain will gravitate toward the substitute. We can judge these men, or we can understand them. They are medicating their loneliness. Yes, but they are also making a rational calculation. Why buy the cow when the milk is free and the cow is trying to sue you? Technology has lowered the cost of being single, and it has made the solitary life bearable, even enjoyable. Until the real thing becomes a better value proposition, the screen will continue to win. Finally, the most positive reason. Some men are not leaving because they are bitter or scared or addicted to porn. They are leaving because they have evolved. They have embraced the philosophy of the sovereign individual. They have looked at the life script, school, job, marriage, kids, death, and recognized it as a form of slavery. They want to explore the world. They want to start businesses. They want to master arts. They want to live multiple lives in one lifetime. A traditional family requires stability. It requires you to stay in one place, work a steady job, and be predictable. The sovereign man craves adventure. He craves unpredictability. He realizes that a wife and children are anchors. Anchors are good if you want to stay in the harbor during a storm, but anchors are terrible if you want to sail the open ocean. These men are choosing freedom over comfort. They are choosing self-actualization over biological reproduction. They are the modern-day monks, explorers, and philosophers. They are not incels. They are voluntarily celibate, single. They have found a purpose that is bigger than the biological imperative. They are proving that a man's worth is not determined by who he is sleeping with, but by what he is creating. So where does this leave us? Is this the end of the species? Maybe. But nature corrects itself. For the individual man listening to this, understand this. Your desire to stay single is not a disease. It is a symptom of a sick society and a sign of your own intelligence. You are the canary in the coal mine. You have sensed the danger, and you have flown to safety. Do not let anyone shame you. Old maid is an insult. Bachelor is a title. There is a dignity in the solitary life. There is a power in the man who needs nothing from others. If you choose to stay single, do it with your head high. Use your freedom to build something magnificent. Use your money to secure your future. Use your time to master your mind. You are not checking out of life. You are checking out of a rigged game so you can play a better one. A game where you set the rules. A game where you keep the score. A game where the only person you have to make happy is the man in the mirror. If this video made you reflect on your own life, please like the video to support the channel. If you know a man who needs to hear this, share it with him. And if you want to walk this path long term, and receive content that is deeper, more direct, and not meant for everyone, you can join the channel as a member. You'll find the membership link in the video description below. Thank you for watching until the end. May you keep clarity, calm, and freedom in your life.